In an era of great power competition, how is Asia's second largest economy performing?
China has eclipsed Japan.
But Japan has an ambitious comeback plan.
我が国はこの地域におけるルールに基づく自由で開かれた国際秩序の維持強化に向け、自由で開かれたインド太平洋を進めてきました。
And it's a plan that will transform Indochina with a series of ports, rails, roads, industrial parks, and educational institutions.
The country which has the greatest stake in the success of EEC, apart from Thailand itself, is Japan.
With geopolitical tensions on the rise, how does Japan's plan impact its relationship with China?
They're definitely not decoupling from China, but they are selectively recalibrating their footprint in China.
As the political temperature heats up, will Asia's two powers compete or collaborate? And what does this all mean for nations in ASEAN? This is Cosnichi in Bangkok, one of the many cosplay events that take place across Southeast Asia.
เป็นงานที่เกี่ยวกับการ์ตูนอนิเมะคอสเพย์และสินค้าจากทางญี่ปุ่นทั้งหลายนะครับ
ถ้าในไทยเหรอคะก็ค่อนข้างเยอะอยู่นะคะเพราะว่าเอาจริงๆคือกระแสมังงะ
ค่ะชื่อเอแคร์ค่ะอันนี้คอสเป็นนันยาจากเกมเกนบูค่ะ
ตัวละครวีทูเบอร์นะคะเพราะว่าส่วนหนึ่งแล้วพวกเราชื่นชอบวีทูเบอร์อยู่แล้วก็แบบว่าติดตามกิจกรรมของเขาแล้วเราก็เลยเห็นว่าคาแรคเตอร์ดีไซน์เขาน่ารักดีก็เราก็เลยเอามาแต่งให้แล้วก็เพื่อเป็นกำลังใจให้เขาด้วยค่ะ
Cosplay is one aspect of the Cool Japan strategy, a Japanese government campaign started years ago to enhance its global soft power.
รู้สึกว่าเขามีวัฒนธรรมแล้วก็อารยธรรมที่น่าหลงใหลอะค่ะแล้วก็คนญี่ปุ่นเขาเป็นคนที่มีความคิดสร้างสรรค์แบบ creative อะไรเงี้ยในการคิดว่าบางทีก็เนี่ยสร้างตัวละครคาแรคเตอร์อะไรแบบนี้มาได้อะแบบน่าสนใจเนาะแบบทำให้เกิด pop culture ใหม่ๆอะไรเงี้ยค่ะ
เรียกว่าผมนี่คลั่งไคล้ทุกอย่างที่เป็นญี่ปุ่นอยู่แล้วครับไม่ว่าจะเป็นอาหารญี่ปุ่นอนิเมะญี่ปุ่นหรือว่าจะเป็นเรื่องของวัฒนธรรมแล้วก็ที่สำคัญที่อยากให้เอามาประยุกต์กับเมืองไทยมากที่สุดคือระเบียบวินัยครับผมชอบแล้วก็นับถือคนญี่ปุ่นมากๆก็เลยรู้สึกว่าถ้าถามว่าคิดยังไงกับประเทศญี่ปุ่นผมรักประเทศญี่ปุ่นครับผม
Tens of thousands of people across Southeast Asia attend similar events in their own countries, where Japanese pop culture is celebrated. Whether it's through cosplay, daiso, or donburi, Japan has climbed up the ranks of favorability ratings in Southeast Asia. According to a widely cited survey done in Singapore, Japan remains the most trusted major power in the region, with 54.2% of respondents expressing confidence in Japan to do the right thing, more than twice as much as China's score on the same question. Japan also remains the most popular destination to visit among Southeast Asian citizens. Japan tops the list of travel destinations among people from 6 ASEAN member states.
Well, in the 1960s, actually, Japan was seen as a country that was quite exploitive of many Southeast Asian countries in terms of going there, getting resources, and bringing back to Japan to develop its country. And there were riots, there was protest against Japan. And Japan thought about this, and they thought about how they could improve their relations. And as a result, they became much more consultative with local leaders. They invested much more overseas direct assistance, ODA, into the region, helping build infrastructure, helping build capitals, helping deal with water sanitation.
Japan has been stable. It has been consistent. It has been reliable. Even with changes in government, even with changes in leadership, there has been this continued commitment to invest in Southeast Asia. That cannot be done just by rhetoric. It also cannot just be done by one administration. It has to be done continually, and Japan has really succeeded in doing so over the past decades.
But goodwill does not translate into economic clout. According to a poll conducted by Japan's Foreign Ministry in Southeast Asia, when asked which among the group of 20 leading economies will be an important partner in the future, 48% chose China, while 43% picked Japan. Japan, a long-time economic power in Asia, has some concerns about being edged out.
China has eclipsed Japan, no question about it. China became the second largest economy. It's also the largest goods trading partner for most economies in the region. China has been seen as a rising power and Japan as a stagnating one. But on the other hand, there are a number of under-the-radar metrics that's important to highlight that actually portray a very different picture, where Japan has not been eclipsed, when Japan makes important contributions and sometimes pulls ahead of China. What I have in mind in particular are the competitiveness that many Japanese firms have in advanced technologies. And I think this has become very evident now that we're so focused on supply chains, particularly the semiconductor industry, where you can see that Japanese companies play a pivotal role in the supply chains. There's also the other area where I think that the metrics point to Japan having a larger role is when you look at the infrastructure finance.
Japan's infrastructure financing is an ambitious plan that will change how business is done in Indochina. Under the country's signature foreign policy initiative, the Free and Open Indo-Pacific, Japan will build two major transport and industrial corridors in Southeast Asia. One, the East-West Corridor, aims to build a large economic bloc along a 1,700-kilometer land route from Vietnam to Myanmar, via Laos and Thailand. From there, access can be gained to India over the Bay of Bengal. Two, the Southern Economic Corridor assists the trade development from Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam through Cambodia and also links to Myanmar.
我が国はこの地域におけるルールに基づく自由で開かれた国際秩序の維持強化に向け、自由で開かれたインド太平洋を進めてきました。世界を見渡せば、米国、豪州、インド、英国、フランス、ドイツ、イタリア、オランダ、そして EU といったさまざまなアクターがインド太平洋へのビジョンを打ち出しています。志を同じくする国々が大きなビジョンを共有した上で、誰かの押し付けではなく、自らの意思でそれぞれの取り組みを進める。それこそが包接性、インクルーシブネスを基本とする自由で開かれたインド太平洋、OIP の考え方です。特にここインド太平洋においては ASEAN との協働が不可欠です。
Thailand has partnered with Japan for many years in its economic development, and it is an important country in Japan's vision for a free and open Indo-Pacific. Both the economic corridors being built by Japan feature Thailand prominently. And in Thailand's capital city, one district bears the mark of long-standing relations between the two countries.
Little Japan in Bangkok is the area in Sukhumvit that comprise a lot of places where Japanese people come to spend their time. There's a supermarket. There's also a lot of people who live in this area. So very much a community for Japanese. I think Japanese community in Thailand number almost as high as 100,000 people, and it is one of the largest.
The Japanese expats have built a strong community here that feels like any neighborhood in Japan. Within ASEAN, Thailand has the largest share of Japanese companies. Nearly 6,000 of them operate in the kingdom.
If we look at foreign direct investment in Thailand in the 80s, you can see that Japan was probably one of the major investors in addition to the US and some European countries and companies at that time. But Japan was very serious in the sense that not only that it pioneered the industry of automotive in Thailand, Japanese investment also expanded in other areas, electronics as well. And the firms that invest in Thailand also expanded from the kind of the big firm like Toyota, Mitsubishi, all those big car companies. But later on, it also brought in suppliers of those companies. So Japanese companies' investment in Thailand is quite both wide and deep. Deep in the sense that it also brings their suppliers to invest in Thailand, and broad in the sense that it has also a lot of companies in various sectors.
Japan is Thailand's largest foreign direct investor to date. So extensive are Japanese businesses that Japan has set up not just one, but 2 institutes of higher learning in Bangkok to train manpower. This is one of the 2 Kosen, or engineering schools.
We adopt from the Kosen, Japanese Kosen, that how we can foster our student to be an innovative practical engineer for our industry and society.
Japanese and Thai teachers implement a unique curriculum that has proven to be effective back in Japan.
I'm a graduate of Toyota Kosen, and I'm very proud of my mother college. So when I heard this job, I really like to go to Thailand to teach my juniors, my young students. I'm teaching the computer programming on the microcontrollers in automation engineering. So students are very interested in the robotics or some kind of automation programming, not only the software, but also the hardware, the electronics. I think we can provide students with the not only mere, kind of a toy programming, but also the industrial level programming or hardware.
Japan's commitment has always been to ensure that it invests not just in the project itself, but also in the communities that it invests in. It also invests in workforce development, which is really key.
แล้วก็ภาคปฏิบัติซึ่งการที่มีภาคปฏิบัติมันทำให้เข้าใจในเนื้อหาที่เรียนมากขึ้นแล้วก็เราจะไม่ได้แค่รู้อย่างเดียวแต่ได้ลงมือทำจริงซึ่งมันก็จะทำให้เกิดความสนุกครับไม่น่าเบื่อแล้วก็สามารถที่จะเอาทักษะเหล่านี้ไปใช้ทำงานได้เลยครับ
Students from Kosen schools are in high demand by Japanese companies who have an ambitious plan to enlarge their operations in Thailand as they begin to move some supply chains out of China. When it comes to infrastructure building in Southeast Asia, China's Belt and Road Initiative has gotten the most global attention. But one study reveals that when it comes to infrastructure financing, Japan actually takes the top spot. Financing from Japan is backing $330 billion of ongoing and upcoming construction projects across ASEAN. That's according to Fitch Solutions, which counted funds in all member states except Brunei. The figure linked to Chinese financing is $100 billion, less than Japan, but more than Europe and North America combined. In Indochina, Japan has embarked on work in the East-West Economic Corridor and Southern Corridor as part of its free and open Indo-Pacific plan. To see examples of the plan at work, journey along Thailand's ambitious Eastern Economic Corridor, or EEC. This strategic industrial bloc has overlaps with Japan's Southern Corridor plans. Japanese and Thai collaboration goes back 30 years in this region. In the 1980s, the eastern seaboard was mainly rural. The Thai government announced it would spend billions on infrastructure and asked the World Bank to help finance development. The World Bank said no. Japan then came to the rescue, transforming the eastern seaboard from this to this, and kicking off massive industrialization in Thailand. JICA, or the Japan International Cooperation Agency, implemented most of these projects.
JICA has a long history with the EEC development. Actually, we have totally lended $1.2 billion US dollar. And then we had 16 infrastructure projects and 27 yen loan agreement over the development. We invested port development and railroad construction and water pipes for industrial estates, and also we invested public-owned industrial estate as well.
And so we were able to grow our industries, especially automobile and electronics, also petrochemical. So the Eastern Seaboard led to what I call Thailand's great leap to industrialization. And after that, we had double-digit growth. We were considered the fifth Asian tiger. But later on, our economic growth momentum sort of declined.
Economic growth was already slowing in the 2010s. Then came the pandemic, which brought a sharp contraction. And now, the Thai government is looking at ways to reinvigorate its economy again. Working with old partners who have a new plan due to changing geopolitics may just be what the Eastern Economic Corridor, or EEC, needs.
I'd like to refer to a remark made by a former Japanese ambassador to Thailand. He told me that the country which has the greatest stake in the success of EEC, apart from Thailand itself, is Japan. Because already you helped to make the Eastern Seaboard happen. You are the #1 investor in the EEC right now.
And Japanese companies are also looking for places to strengthen their supply chain resilience.
Well, Thailand has many advantages when it comes to investment destination. Geography is one thing. We have good people. In terms of cumulative investment in the EEC, as of the end of June 22nd, Japan tops the list with 38.8 billion bahts, and the amount of 46.1% of total volume. According to the JETRO survey, there are around 5,900 Japanese companies in Thailand. Of these, around 1,100 companies are in the EEC area. And at the beginning of this year, the Japanese government announced Asia-Japan Investing for the Future initiative. It will strengthen Japanese investment in the ASEAN region to enhance a global supply chain.
May 2022. The Thai and Japanese governments and industrial titan Mitsubishi host a major event to celebrate the 135th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Thailand and Japan. hundreds of businessmen from both countries attend. The key focus was unveiling plans for Manufacturing 4.0.
We're implementing this policy called Thailand 4.0, which is to move towards innovation, high technology, to go up the value chain.
Mitsubishi has worked together with the EEC team to set up a center to demonstrate how Manufacturing 4.0 works.
Manufacturing 4.0, or somebody call the Industrial 4.0, it's just how we connect all of the machine from shop floor and link it to the IT system. In the past, the manufacturing here, we are talking about the labor incentive. And most of the production line, the worker or human involved in all of the station to input something. But today, in order to improve the efficiency, sometimes we can understand that labor have more error than when we compare with the robot. So we are trying to change.
Mitsubishi partners with 75 other companies in Thailand to offer industrial solutions for Manufacturing 4.0. By integrating machine automation, digital engineering, and human knowledge, Thailand hopes to boost manufacturing productivity and wages.
We can say this is SCADA or control room. And this dashboard is not only come from only one single factory. For example, this dashboard showing all the production and also the energy, OEE, everything in one place. I can give you one of the real example. This company have two factories. One factory located at Chonburi and another factory located at Rayong. Without our system, including our control room or SCADA, they need to have two teams. One team Chonburi, one team Rayong. But after implement our system, because monitoring can online also, okay? So they minimize the team to be only one team. This case is only two factory. But maybe, let's say if customer have 5, 10 factory, they can minimize only one team or two team by using our technology to monitoring.
So far, about 10,000 people have visited the place to learn about Manufacturing 4.0 and how to apply it to their own businesses.
These are the new advanced industries that we want to promote, for instance, electric vehicle, for instance, smart electronics, biotechnology, biofuel, biochemical, precision medicine.
This Industrial Solutions Center, together with investments already made in hundreds of factories across Southeast Asia, clean energy plants, ports, roads, and railway networks, illustrates the importance of Japan's infrastructure spending. So why then are Japanese investments so low-key compared to those from China's Belt and Road Initiative?
So when you go to infrastructure projects that are developed by Chinese capital, they really do make a point of putting out the flags and the names out, and it's in your face, right? You know that this is part of a BRI project. Japan has really not wanted to do that when it comes to infrastructure development in Southeast Asia at large. And it's not, and I believe it's actually a strategy on the part of the Japanese government. Bear in mind that Japan does not want to be in contest with China. And there is also a need for Japan to balance and maintain solid relations with China as well. So taking a more kind of in-your-face approach to say, well, here's a Chinese project, across the street is a Japanese project, and they're going toe-to-toe on competing for infrastructure development. This is not going to be a strategy that Japan's going to continue to pursue.
National Road Number 5 in Cambodia, a critical artery in Japan's southern economic corridor. It's also important for Cambodia's own growth plans. This transport business owner says the road, which the Japanese helped build, has improved his business significantly.
ធម្មតាទៅផ្លូវពិបាកការចំណាយថវិកាវេលាការខូចខាតឡានការជួសជុលចំណាយផ្សេងៗគឺខ្ពស់ហើយសូម្បីតែការចំណាយទៅលើប្រេងក៏ខ្ពស់ផងដែរនឹងជាបញ្ហាប្រឈមរបស់ក្រុមហ៊ុនអំឡុងពេលដែលផ្លូវពិបាកហើយយើងមានការចំណាយខ្ពស់ទៅលើការជួសជុលគឺពីមុនមកយើងឧទាហរណ៍ថាឡានមួយគ្រឿងយើងចំណាយ500មួយខែជួសជុលតែពេលនេះសល់តែ100ជាង
According to the World Economic Forum's 2019 competitiveness ranking, Cambodia has a score of 3.6 out of 7 on road quality, the second lowest score in the region. To change that, work is currently underway to expand the 390-kilometer two-lane road linking the capital, Phnom Penh, to Poi Phet on the Thai border. Tekken Corporation, a Japanese construction company, is working on a section of that road.
現在我々は国道5号線の改修工事をしており、工事内容としては工事延長 44.1 キロを既存の2車線から4車線へ拡幅し、15の橋梁を含むボックスカルバートなどの構造物で構成されております。
The main challenge for the ongoing work is the impending rainy season. The construction will need to stop when the rains arrive, causing costly delays. So for the engineers, it's a race against the clock to get the road completed.
現在、工事の進捗は 80% を超えており、我々は最終段階にあります。現在、後ろに見えている通り舗装をしておりますが、この舗装は3層あるうちの一番上の層を現在施工しております。我々はカンボジアのエンジニアに日本の技術、日本の工事の進め方を伝えなければなりません。また、雨季のあるカンボジアでどのように工程を管理していくか、どのようにキャッチアップしていくか。
Another 47-kilometer stretch of road, including 8 bridges, has been completed by another Japanese company also working on the project.
It was completed 1 month earlier than contract period by great support of Cambodia government, Embassy of Japan, JICA, and KEI, the engineer. As a result, it contributed to development of Cambodia economy through smooth logistics.
The road has sped up transport time from Cambodia to neighboring Thailand, bridging Japan's southern economic corridor. It's also enhanced supply chain resilience across the region.
The wages of Thailand people getting higher and higher, they have to shift to more high value added, industry product. And then if we build a southern economic corridor, we can make, supply chains, because Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, and then Myanmar, they have different stages of economy, right? And then they have a different, price of wages. So they can build kind of supply chains according to the, how much they can put value on the products. So it's kind of a transformation of Thai economy and also transformation economy of other, surrounding countries as well.
The Japanese road projects in the southern economic corridor also connect to an area long dominated by Chinese businesses, and that's Sihanoukville. It's a place well known for Chinese casinos, real estate developments, and restaurants. But the new port project there will be funded by Japanese loans. The deal was inked in August 2022. Japan will lend Cambodia close to $400 million to develop what the Cambodian government describes as a principal deep-sea port for Cambodia and the region. Economies in the region have benefited from the Southern Economic Corridor. And for Japan, the investments have a strategic purpose. Cambodia's warm relations with China are well documented. In June 2022, China's funding of the redevelopment of a Cambodian naval base raised concerns about its military footprint in the South China Sea.
I think even for Cambodia, who's often understood as a client state of China, would like more strategic autonomy in their decision-making. And this is why they've welcomed Japanese investment. And Japanese investment through the region is not just in Cambodia. We have a north-south infrastructure project. We have an east-west infrastructure project. And it speaks to this idea that the more infrastructure connectivity we have within ASEAN, that we can dilute, or Japan would like to dilute, the influence of China, but also, again, make Southeast Asian countries more integrated.
Is the objective of Japan's free and open Indo-Pacific plan to counter China's Belt and Road Initiative?
With the Free and Open Indo-Pacific and the Belt and Road Initiative, what you have is the two largest Asian powers really honing their economic statecraft. And what they're doing is they're trying to tackle a major need in the region, and that is the gap in infrastructure finance, and in so doing shape the regional architecture. So clearly they interact with one another, they're influenced by each other. Now, it's important to highlight that neither China nor Japan has made these a zero-sum competition, so that if you participate in the Belt and Road Initiative or you participate in the Free and Open Indo-Pacific, you have to abstain from engaging with the other. And I think that actually is a very savvy way to pursue competition, because it enables all regional actors to benefit from the larger supply of investment capital.
I think Southeast Asia is caught between two big elephants that are not getting along so well, the US and China. And we have a saying that, when two elephants fight, it's the grass that get destroyed. So I think Southeast Asia would be looking at Japan as a kind of a third power that has a lot to offer. It has already done a lot for countries in this area. So in the sense of the US trying to become more aggressive in this area, and the two countries trying to make Southeast Asian countries choose sides, I think countries in this area are aware that they cannot choose sides because we depend on all those countries. So having a more neutral third party in the geopolitics of Southeast Asia would be quite beneficial to our countries.
We're in an era of great power competition, and Japan has launched an ambitious, free and open Indo-Pacific strategy. Together with the United States Indo-Pacific Economics Framework, the two policies promise to step up engagement in Southeast Asia significantly.
The Indo-Pacific Economic Framework that was put forward by the United States allows Southeast Asian countries and participating states to choose what they would like from a menu of different forms of cooperation, whether it's sustainability, whether it's environmental cooperation, whether it's in anti-corruption activities. So this is a really, I think, complementary approach to thinking about the free and open Indo-Pacific strategy that is focusing on creating a rules-based order. And it's not making countries choose democracy or human rights, but rather fighting corruption, improving governance, and highlighting development and dealing with climate change. That is very much in line with how the Japanese would like a rules-based system to move forward.
While the United States has been public about its adversarial relationship with China, Japan has a different relationship with its neighboring superpower. In September 2022, the Japan Business Federation held an event to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the normalization of diplomatic relations between Japan and China. At this event, messages from Chinese President Xi Jinping and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida were read out. Both leaders did not attend any celebratory events personally.
There was going to be three options. One was going to have a full fanfare celebration, one leader going to the other country and really celebrating this, or had relations really soured, really making a point of criticizing the other and taking a firm stance on the offensive. What we have seen instead is a kind of watered down, not a lot of public celebration. There is still a great concern about what is happening in China today. Chinese economic coercion has certainly been a grave concern for Japanese businesses and the Japanese government. There's a lot of concern about China's aspirations for Taiwan. So as we have these, it is a milestone. 50 years is not, that's certainly a historic event. But if we are to look at, if that is seen as an opportunity to look forward, there are a lot of uncertainties and a lot of risks ahead between the two countries.
Despite the risks, the two countries must grapple with economic realities. Take Japan's tourism sector, for example. Before the pandemic, almost 10 million Chinese people visited Japan annually, making up about 1/3 of all spending by foreign tourists, and prompting some soul-searching by the Japanese media on whether the Japanese tourism industry was over-reliant on China. Then there is the immense bilateral trade. In 2021, China remained Japan's biggest trade partner. Japan was China's second-largest trading partner when measured by country, with the trade volume totaling $371.4 billion, a historical high, according to China Customs.
Businesses want to be part of the China miracle. China has pushed about 400 million people into the middle class. They're consumers and they consume Japanese products. So corporate Japan wants to be part of the China story. But they also understand the declining benefits of being part of that market. One is costs associated with the 4-to-1 problem in China, the demographic challenges in China. Two is geopolitics have made the relationship more unpredictable. And three, issues like the COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted that Japan shouldn't put all its eggs in one basket. With the zero COVID policies and shutting down and disruption of supply chains, Japanese businesses were affected. So what we see now is that Japanese businesses are building in China for Chinese, by Chinese, with Japanese technologies, and they're selectively diversifying to Southeast Asia and South Asia to build and to make products for consumption in those local markets. So they're definitely not saying no, and they're definitely not decoupling from China. But they are selectively recalibrating their footprint in China and in the region to deal with those challenges I mentioned.
Developments on the geopolitical front especially are making the economic relationship challenging. As Prime Minister Kishida and President Biden launched the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework in Tokyo, Russia and China engaged in a military exercise off the coast of Japan. When Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan, China engaged in a military exercise and fired ballistic missiles. Five of them landed in Japan's exclusive economic zone, according to Japan's defense minister. The proportion of Japanese people holding an unfavorable impression of China stands at a record high of 87%.
The perception that China represents a major security threat to Japan is very high now. And this should not come as a surprise. For the last decade, China has tried to undermine Japan's administrative control over the disputed territories in the East China Sea, the Senkaku Islands, to use the Japanese term. And therefore, this means that you have recurrent and constant intrusions from Chinese vessels in the proximity of these waters. Then you look at how China has used some of these economic wealth that it has accumulated, and there's this very significant military buildup in a way that also creates concerns about Japan, because Japan certainly is not at that level in terms of the military stockpiles and the capabilities that China has accumulated. I think that China's friendship with no limits with Russia has also intensified the sense of risk and threat perception.
A Defense of Japan White Paper 2022 says that China's military trends have become a matter of grave concern to the region. And so Japan has pledged to increase its military spending, both at home and also abroad.
这将严重违背和平宪法和专守防卫政策，严重威胁亚太地区的和平、安全与稳定。日方应该认真汲取历史教训，坚持走和平发展道路，切实尊重亚洲邻国的安全关切，在军事安全领域谨言慎行。 以真正取信于邻国和国际社会。
Looking on the bright side, there's the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, encompassing 15 Asia-Pacific countries and includes both Japan and China. It's supposed to help companies from both sides better access each other's markets through things like lower levies. There's also the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, or CPTPP. The CPTPP is version 2 of the Trans-Pacific Partnership and got renamed after the US pulled out. China has applied to be part of the CPTPP in September 2021, but that application is likely to be a political minefield.
This is going to be one of the biggest challenges that Japan faces politically, and because it is a political issue. The United States pulled out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. Japan was really critical to ensure that the 11 remaining countries stayed committed to CPTPP. Now we have a situation where not only has it come into fruition, 4 other governments, including China as well as Taiwan, the United Kingdom, and South Korea are wanting to join this. So Japan has a lot of say in how this accession issue is going to be approached. I believe that the most prudent way for Japan to deal with it is going to be to kind of like prolong it as much as possible. Because the challenge is going to be, how do you deal with the application of both China and Taiwan, right? When you look back 2 decades ago when China joined the WTO, it was a conscious effort to actually have both China and Taiwan join the WTO. That was then. This is now. Taiwan is really almost accession ready. China is not. If Taiwan were to join before China, that would create a lot of problems, and that's kind of a big understatement.
With a dragon at its doorstep, there are no easy answers for how Japan should engage China.
Well, in terms of deterrence, we see a deepening of the US-Japan alliance, but we also see Japan working with Australia and the UK in terms of a reciprocal access agreement. In terms of resilience, we see Japan working with other countries to build resilience into supply chains, to find opportunities to migrate some of the semiconductor manufacturing out of Taiwan. But at the same time, they're engaging. They've signed the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership with China. They're open to non-traditional security cooperation on climate change, anti-piracy, illegal fishing, and I think even dealing with the next transnational disease, whether it's COVID-20 or 21. I think that is their strategy. Engage as much as possible, build resilience into the relationship, but also have that deterrence capabilities to build stability in the relationship so we don't have a Ukraine crisis in the Indo-Pacific region.
What's really important is to have a functional and stable relation with China, because in essence, Japan is reconciling many different equities when thinking about the relationship with China. China as economic opportunity, China as military threat, China as regional competitor for influence, and China as rival, a strategic rival of Japan's security guarantor, which is the United States. When you think about all these different equities, I think you can understand why the priority is to have stable, functional relationship.
As the political temperature rises in East Asia, Tokyo is under great pressure to balance its security concerns and economic engagements with its assertive neighbor. And in an era of great power politics, all eyes will be on how the free and open Indo-Pacific plan evolves.